We could take a picture of us for Instagram.
That's a good one.
All right. Now. Are we live yet? Are we live? I think we're muttering away. Are we live?
There's like a 30-second delay. I can't see you yet. Okay. Yes, you're live.
Sorry, we were so busy. We got so carried away with other things that. Good morning, everybody. As you can see, I'm cozying up. Why are you sitting quite this close? It's like
you said cozy up with me.
So good morning. We are live on everything. Wait a minute. I'm getting the wrong show here. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Let's start again. Let's pretend that I've just come on here. The spirit world sees all. Good morning, everybody. Nice to see you all. To my right, squished between us, I might say, is my spirit guide, Grey Eagle. To my immediate right, we have Karen. Say good morning, Karen.
Good morning.
I think you've met Karen before, and if not, you'll remember her before we're finished. To my far right on the sofa, I have Cachorro, but he's sound asleep, so I'm not going to wake him up for you, but I just wanted you to know that he's there anyway. And across from me, because Karen's taking up all of the sofa, I'm sort of keep inching up, and every time I inch up, she inches up some more. It's like, really? Anyway, opposite we have Carolyn. Say good morning, Carolyn.
Good morning, Carolyn.
We don't seem to have Al. He seems to have not arrived with us, but that's okay. He might come on in a little while. So we just are going to continue with the show. If he turns up, he does, and if not, I'll find out what on earth happened to him later on. So I think, do you mind if I stay there? You know, you say that just slightly. I feel like I'm sitting on a knee, so I'm just going to go. It just moved up. It's going to be.
I'm just joking.
There
we go. Sorry.
You can see what kind of a show that we're going to have today. Let me just put Karen in so we're like centered. Is that better there? Can you see what we're doing here, Carolyn?
Yes.
She's nodding away here.
Yes.
All right. Why don't we then, because we're becoming really, really silly. Karen, I picked Karen up at the airport on Saturday. And we went to, this is Tampa Airport. And in Tampa Airport, I know I shouldn't be advertising this, but there's a P.F. Chang's restaurant. Is it P.F. Chang's? I think it is. P.F. Chang's restaurant. And the food there is, if you like Oriental food, which of course I do, so good. It's so rare that I go to a restaurant these days and can say that was really, really good and worth the money. It's really, really rare. I don't know about all of you out there, but restaurants and restaurant food seems to be, I don't know if it's because I cook more again as I used to do, or if it's because restaurants are not creating. It's so rare that I go out to eat.
We just lost the feed for some reason.
It looks like Al's on now.
Oh, there you are. Hi, Al.
Okay, we're back.
Okay, so sorry about that. We just came. We went off a second and came back on again. We now have Al. I don't know if we can hear you, Al.
Hello.
Oh, there you are. Good morning. We just talking about restaurants, Al. You might want to put in an opinion here, but I was saying it's so rare these days that I go to a restaurant and really enjoy the food, and I get a bit resentful sometimes. It's my own fault. I mean, it's not that I am resentful towards anyone in particular, but I really do object paying the price that many restaurants now feel that they can charge for what turns out to be mediocre food. Sometimes when you have mediocre food, the waitress or the waiter makes up for it and you have a nice time. But sometimes you get mediocre food and mediocre service, at which point I make a point of always saying something. If something isn't right, and I do it in a nice way, I do it in a good way, but I'll always call the manager over and I'll say, please don't, don't mean to be offensive to you, but lousy food, lousy, whatever it is. But likewise, on the other side of the coin, and Karen, we did this, whenever I go out and the food is excellent and the service is excellent, or even if the food is mediocre but the service is excellent, I always make a point of saying something as well, because I think if I'm willing to say something when things aren't right, then I should be willing to say something when things are right. So we asked the waitress after our meal at the airport to fetch the manager over, and she was a bit nervous. She said, did I do something wrong? And I said no. And she fetched the manager over, and I explained to the manager that I wanted to say that the food was excellent, but the waiter service was better than excellent. And they were surprised. And the manager said to me, and I've heard this before, we rarely get anyone saying that to us. So if you are out and about and you want to say something if things are not right, which you should do, I think, in a nice way, please remember that you should always say if something is good or special. I think it's important that we should say something when something's good as well. Why am I talking about this? What do you think about restaurants today, Al? Do you think the food is mediocre, or do you think, is it me? Am I just getting more and more particular as I get older?
I think a lot of the restaurants are mainstream and kind of cookie cutter, right? That they have their pre-made stuff, and I think that's probably, you rarely find like a mom and pop shop that just makes good home cooking. But when you do, you appreciate that.
Yeah, I agree. Although P.F. Chang's is a huge chain, but the food is so good. And, and I feel like I'm advertising them, but you now can find them in the supermarkets as well. They're food in supermarkets, which I've only had one or two things from the supermarket, but because I rarely buy pre-made foods, I'm just not into that. But still as good. I think we've heard enough. Do you want to say anything, Karen? Because she was there. Karen,
No,
do you want to
but
say anything?
don't you remember I did say how rare it is for somebody to say something good? It's more that people want to complain about things, and I think it's always good to stop and actually say things that are actually good that somebody does good, because that doesn't happen enough.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Carolyns Question.
Carolyns
Question
sitting there
already.
raring to go,
Yay.
raring to go. So now we've discussed the food. Let's discuss the questions. So Karen, why don't you begin?
Mary asks.
Good morning, Mary.
I'm in the process of helping my siblings write an obituary for my mother, Bernadette. Is there anything that she would like me to list on her obituary?
Well, I think obituaries are very personal, and I think that it's not so much about what we write on someone's tombstone, or it's not so much about what we say at the funeral, or what it's much more about what they said to us and what we said to them. I think it's the personal things, the personal connections that we had. So, so an obituary, it should, in my humble opinion only, should be something that is, that is personal to the family in this particular case. And I think your mother might want to add that she loves you all. So maybe you could add that that she loved you all, even apparently through the difficult times, even through the trying times, is what I'm hearing. So it wasn't always an easy life. It wasn't always easy with the family, according to what I'm being told. But the love overrides all of those things when it comes right down to it. Would you like to hear what I'm going to have on my tombstone? Would you all like to hear what I'm going to have on my tombstone? You might know it, Karen. You don't know what I'm going to have. I've had this. I just want this written on my tombstone, and for some reason or another, I've always, for years and years and years, thought that it was a perfect thing to write on someone's tombstone, certainly on mine, because it applies to me. So here it is, short and sweet. I'm making a record of this so my daughter remembers, but she does know because I have told her. So I want this short and sweet on my tombstone, headstone. I don't want to be buried in the ground. I'm going to be cremated. That's a whole other topic there. But still, I do want a plaque or something, not necessarily in a graveyard, but on a tree or anywhere. Put it anywhere you like, but written there somewhere. I'd like it to say about me. She tried, but she died. And it's as simple as that. And if you can say that at the end of your life, I tried, then I died, well, there you go. I'll show you the next question. Can you tell if I'm in a very weird mood?
I think that would get a lot of attention as people pass by, for sure. We have a comment from Patricia.
Good morning, Patricia.
And she says, Rosemary, you are a beautiful light in this world. Thank you for always keeping it real.
Thank you.
And then we have...
I can see you full on screen there, Al, so not quite sure.
Press the other.
I did. Oh, well. Oh, I see. So, hold on. Sorry, Al. There we are. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
All right. Is it better now?
Yes. Yes.
And then we have Nicole has a question.
Good morning, Nicole.
Monday was my oldest brother's birthday. He passed away on his way out during delivery. Could he feel us celebrating him in the spirit world? Does he know what the complication was that caused him to pass?
I'm going to say something that you might find a little odd to understand, but anyway, that was two questions. So the first question is absolutely yes, absolutely. Those in the spirit world do know when we're celebrating them, and when we're celebrating their births, their whatever we're celebrating about them, they know and often join in. And I think this is the case here. But I believe that there are some souls who come to this earth. They come into the womb simply for that soul experience, the experience of being in the womb, the soul experience of having a connection with the mother, that soul experience of being able to connect with that person's energy within the womb. But they have no intention or inclination of going further than that. This is the experience that they choose to have. There are some souls who choose to have that one or two breaths after they come out from the womb, simply to experience what it is like to breathe the air of this earth plane of ours. So you're talking about complications, but I think I deal with things that are so very often inevitables, and they are inevitables because they are chosen by that soul who maybe only spends a few moments or a few months within the womb, but within that experience connects with the mother, connects with the energy, and learns something from that. Because after all, we are born to this earth because we're here to learn, we're here to grow, we're here to raise our level of consciousness, etc., etc. We're here to try to understand what more there is out there for us. So I think that when we're talking about complications and why children die, why babies die within the womb, or why they die prior after they've been birthed, some souls only last 4 days, 5 days, something like that. But it is the choice of that soul. I believe it is the choice of that soul to have had that experience, to have connected with that mother, to have connected with that family and with that energy within that family, in some way or another, and then and then their choice is then to move forward and to move on to another learning experience. That might sound a bit odd to some people, but there's a big hue and cry at the moment, because I do believe in Alabama there is about to be a law passed that prevents mothers from having abortions and so on. There are arguments for, there are arguments against. All of those arguments can be talked back and forth and back and forth. But if God decides that the end of a life is the end of a life, you can argue all you like, and it's not going to change the matter one little bit. Al, question, shall we?
Sure. We have Kitty, I think our Kitty, that's taking the class. My husband passed a year ago. Will his signs for me diminish as time passes?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first part of the question.
My husband passed a year ago. Will his signs for me diminish as time passes?
Not necessarily, Kitty. No, I see what you're saying. I take it he's showing you signs that he's around, that he's with you. I sometimes, and my father passed, I have to work it back, almost, not quite 35 years ago. I still get signs from him from time to time. But I think as we need them less, they get to be less, because our loved ones in the spirit world are busy doing other things, and that's what we want them to do. So as you get better and as you feel more comfortable, it's not that your husband will be with you any less. He won't feel the need necessarily to have that continual confirmation that he's showing you now, but still from time to time he will still show you those things, I'm pretty sure, Kitty. Carolyn.
Tammy has more of a comment.
Good morning, Tammy.
Rosemary, I love your advice.
Thank you.
When I was 20, my grandpa on his deathbed told me that God had a message for me, that I would have a rough life with men, but when I got older, I would be with a man I knew for a long time. That's it.
Oh.
That's her statement.
Oh, come on. You've got to give us the end of it. Did it happen yet? We want to know. Thank you for that, my love.
Lori's cracking up saying, "Are we live?" And she's laughing at us.
Yes, we are.
Patricia has a headstone on the hypochondriac's tombstone. I told you I was sick.
I like that one.
And a real question from Jennifer.
Yes, come on. Well, we do love the comments, though, don't we?
Yeah.
We do like it when people interact with us. And you all out there know, those of you who've seen me before, I do have this very weird British sense of humor. So we do love to laugh. Right, Karen?
All right, Jennifer asks, and it was her birthday yesterday.
Happy birthday, Jennifer. It's mine on Sunday. Woohoo!
I'm embarking on a new business venture with my husband. We are opening a retail storefront. Will we be okay? My 40th birthday was yesterday.
You know, it's funny. I was going to tell you how old I am then, but I'm going backwards. On Sunday, I start going backwards. Or did I start going backwards last year? I can't remember. Oh, it's age. Right, let's get to it. I'm sorry, give me this lovely lady's name again.
Her name, Jennifer.
Jennifer, good, right, all right. Good morning, Jennifer. As far as business is concerned, I could easily say to you, yes, it'll be fine. However, there is this feeling amongst a lot of people, once they start to work for themselves, once they build a business of their own, they think, because I work for myself, I've only got myself to be responsible for, or they're not having a boss cracking the whip and saying you were late this morning. It's very easy when you start a business of your own to think that that means that you don't have to work as hard as you might if you were working for somebody else. But for something to be successful, let me assure you, as someone who knows, because I've been working for myself for all of these long years, that you have to always put in at least 2 or 3 times more effort, more energy. you have to, instead of being there on time, you always have to be early. Instead of leaving on time, you always have to work late. If you don't do it, nobody else is going to do it. And when you start to employ other people, they will do what you do. They will be inspired by how you behave and how much work and effort you put into a thing. So, so whether or not it will be successful, I think, is down to the two of you. There was a second part of the question. What was that?
Just that it was her birthday yesterday.
Right. So, yes, I think we're good. I think we're done. Karen, you work for yourself, right? Would you like to tell everybody what you do?
I'm a registered massage therapist
In Canada, right?
Yeah.
Does this mean because you work for yourself, it's easy?
Oh no. Oh no.
Would you like to elaborate slightly on that?
No. Well, it takes a lot of self-discipline. You got to really, you gotta work a lot. Yeah, it's not easy. There's a lot of
And there's nobody else to put it right, and you can't say to somebody else, "Oh well, there's nothing to do with me," because it's everything to do with you.
Yeah.
So so it is.
Gotta work hard.
Yeah,
hard.
much harder than if you
Long
work for
hours.
somebody else.
No benefits.
There you are. Make sure you've got good insurance.
You got to pay it yourself.
Al, you work for yourself, right? How are you doing over there? Any comment?
I know, just echo the same thing. It takes a lot of discipline, and if you don't get it done, you start feeling awful pretty fast. So you better stay on task and do the things you need to do, because it'll fall apart quickly if you don't.
Right. If you've got a partner though who is working equally well and you're supporting each other, that has got to be better. And I take it that Jennifer's working with her husband, so that sounds good. Carolyn, do we have a question?
Lori says to tell you that she meant, "Are we live?" would be a great thing on your headstone. Are we live?
Yeah, I still like my best. She tried, but she died.
And Sarah asks,
Good morning, Sarah.
any ideas how to help a peacemaker soul make decisions? It's so hard for me, even the simple decision.
This is one for Karen, because Karen is a peacemaker. Oh, how'd you do, Karen? She drives me up the wall. She's only been here since Saturday. She leaves on Monday.
I'm actually not a peacemaker.
No, but you are a water
But
sign.
I'm a water sign, so I
sorry,
totally
so
know
sorry.
where you're
You are
coming from.
a water sign. Peacemaker might have it a little bit different, because peacemaker. What are you?
I'm the peacemaker.
There you are. We've got two water signs here. Carolyn is a peacemaker, and Karen is an old soul. And I can tell you that they do drive you up the wall. So as far as you are concerned, who is it again? Sarah?
It's Sarah. It's our Sarah from the course.
Sarah?
Actually.
Oh, okay. So Sarah, oh, for goodness sake, make a decision and stick to it. That comes from an earth sign who has no trouble making decisions whatsoever and sticking to them also. Do I have any advice? Would you like some advice from a peacemaker? Go ahead, Carolyn.
It's actually an observation. It depends on who the people are that I am around. It's harder for me to make a decision when I'm around earth sign people. If I'm with air signs, I can make the decisions.
Well, of course, because they'll float around. Somebody's got to.
So that plays into the equation, I
Or
think.
peacemaker, maybe.
Okay. Right. So you find it harder if you're around an earth sign? Really?
Multiples are very difficult.
So Carolyn's husband is an earth sign, and of course then she's got a boss for an earth sign as
And
well.
my mother-in-law.
Oh gosh, and your mother-in-law as well. Well, good luck with that. Do I have any advice? I think it's very difficult, because a water sign is this sort of person who sort of looks at let's say you're tiling your bathroom. Do I like the blue one or do I like the green one? And I think I like the green. Well, do I like the blue one? Get somebody else to make the decisions for you when it doesn't matter, right?
What if
I'll
it's
give
with
it- I'll
somebody
make
else
a-
who says no, make the decision?
Oh yes, I do that to Karen.
All the
I
time.
force Karen sometimes to, for goodness sake, make a decision and stick to it, because I'm an earth sign. Other than that, I think we've exhausted this topic.
So, can I say something?
Oh, of course you can. Yeah.
I think you just learn to accept it. And then and then when you pick up on, oh no, because I do it with myself all the time, and then I go, oh no, there I go, I can't make a decision, I don't know what to do, and then just say, okay, it's my water sign, just do it, but just
What you're saying is somebody
yourself.
you have to come to terms with who you are then.
Yeah.
Just come to terms with the fact that
there
you're a
I go
water
again.
sign. You're always going to have these issues. Good luck with that. Speaking as an earth sign, it would drive me crazy. However, water signs are lovely. They are really lovely people.
I do think Karen's exactly
It
right.
doesn't get better.
No, I
Really,
was just
you
sitting
can't
here
change it.
thinking,
It just is what it is, and you just
Yeah,
there we
you've
go
got to
again.
accept
Just
it.
make a decision.
And to be fair, although I'm giving you a hard time, I think once you understand soul signs and once you understand that people are who they are, they have this energy that was created within them as their soul was being created. This particular energy and these particular character traits are woven within the soul. So you might, as an earth sign, get really frustrated with a water sign or an air sign. You might get angry with a fire sign, but then you learn. Eventually, you learn. They might drive you crazy. However, we learn to become much more tolerant, because also when I'm with Karen and she's driving me crazy, I remind myself she can't help it. It's not something she's doing deliberately. It's not something she's doing to drive me nuts.
No,
We're really
is
good.
what it
She's good. We're good friends, and she's lovely. But you learn to be more tolerant and more understanding, don't you think so, Carolyn? You're sort of into soul science hugely.
100%.
You learn to be much more tolerant of other people and other people's behavior, because there goes an air sign. Oh well, we can't expect them to behave any differently than they do behave. Oh well, there goes an earth sign. Gosh, she's bossy, but she's an earth sign. Can't expect her to behave any differently, and so on. So we learn to become much more tolerant of other people's behavior, which is one of the benefits of learning about soul signs, not only your own soul sign, but other people's soul signs as well. So Sarah, thank you for that question. Let's have another question, Carolyn, shall we?
Let's see. We had Lori wrote in. Different Lori. This is Lori H.
Good morning, Laurie H.
When serious accidents happen, are they meant to be a life lesson or perhaps just an accident? I have read so many psychic books, reincarnation books about karma, etc. I always strive to be a good person.
Well, that's lovely, and I'm glad. I'm glad for that. Personally, I don't believe there are such things as accidents. I think everything is in some way preordained. When I first learned that, that our lives in some ways were so controlled, I got a little bit irritated by it, because the idea of being a puppet or somebody else pulling the strings, so to speak, did not appeal to me at all. But I quickly realized that it's actually not what happens to us that is as important. It is how we deal with what happens to us that is important. It is how we deal with what happens to us, which is what helps us to learn, and which is what helps us to grow in the long run. And so I'm going to say something, Al, are you ready? Everything is attitude. So this is why Al and I do our show on Friday nights, Everything is Attitude, because we do talk about different scenarios, different situations that people get themselves into, how people deal with certain things. This is why we like to have guests on, because that guest might have been going through or has gone through something, and are able to then tell us how they dealt with that and how their attitude positively or negatively affects and affected who they have become. So I don't believe that, I don't believe in accidents. I think everything is planned in one way or another. It is how we perceive what happened to us. It is how we deal with what happened to us. It is our attitude in dealing with what happened to us that is the big thing. That's the big thing. Al, do you have anything to say, briefly comment on that before we go to another question?
Nope, just to tune in on Friday and hear more of what we have to say about all those topics. Right? It's all how you look at things, no matter what happens to you.
Everything is attitude, right? Do you want
Correct.
to make a comment here? No, she can't make up her mind. She's a water sign. Do I or don't I?
Yeah, exactly. That's how. There we go. I can't help it. Well, I think of the saying, "We can be bitter or we can be better."
Oh, good job, well done.
Like that comes to me. Or the other thing is, when we are not well or something, there's, and again, I don't know how you feel about this.
Go ahead.
We have choices to either rise above or to suffer.
Well, just
I'm
to
not
correct
sure.
your English slightly, she meant you can be bitter, with 2 T's in the middle. You can be bitter or better. It's a very American Canadian thing to say bitter or better. But if anybody's out there is English, they'll perhaps wonder what on earth you're talking about. So bitter, you can be bitter or better. I think that's a great saying, actually. And as far as being sick, it's very hard sometimes for people who are sick to rise above, because if you're in pain, if you're in agony, I mean, when I'm in pain, I don't want somebody saying to me, get up there, rise up, and all the rest of it. But I think when we are sick and we're in the throes of it, whether it's life-threatening or whether it's not so life-threatening, I think it is important to remember that there are times when we do have to grit our teeth and get on with it. I tend to be when I'm really, really sick, I would much rather be by myself, because I don't want anyone else to hear me moaning and groaning and being negative, or feeling sorry for myself, and which I don't do very often. But I do know that when you are sick, it's very hard, and that's perhaps the time when you reach out for somebody else to help you. Carolyn, a question.
Follow up with Tammy, who wrote and said when she was 20, her grandpa on his deathbed told her that God had a message for her. And that she would have a rough life, but when she got older, I would be with a man I knew for a long time. She's asking if Grey Eagle can confirm that.
Oh, I see. So it hasn't happened yet.
No.
Oh. Well, I always think, especially when somebody is let's say in the throes of, sort of, hate to use the word dying, but it's a simple word, isn't it? You know what I mean? I think we should pay attention, but that doesn't mean necessarily that they're right. But in this particular case, I think your grandpa might have been right. So how about that? That's all I'm saying on that subject. Al, question.
So we have Patricia, who made a comment earlier, a couple comments. She says, "Don't souls need to move on?"
Someone talking in background. Sorry. So can you do that again for me, Al? Sorry.
Yeah, maybe Carolyn could ask the question.
Patricia asks, don't souls need to move on and do their work in the spirit world?
Yes. Yep. That was I've lost Al for a minute. I don't know where he is.
Oh, okay.
But yes.
All right. I'm going to give a shout out to Starshine.
Good morning, Starshine.
She's 8 months without a cigarette. She was asking if I had been successful, and I told her it's been
you just did your anniversary.
Yeah.
And I just would like to mention Dean, because Dean is one of our regulars, and it's his birthday.
Monday.
Last Monday. So that makes him a Tory, and I know this because it's my birthday on Sunday. don't quite know how we're going to celebrate it. Maybe rack of lamb or something like that. What do you think, Karen? Something, we'll think of something to celebrate. And I'm not telling my age. You have to read the books, and then it'll be out there, and this, you know, you can figure it out for yourself. What is it they say? As old as my something, not as old as my teeth. Something, there's a saying, something like as old as my skin and not as old as my, but not as old as my teeth, or something like that. Anyway,
We have a question from Starshine.
Yes.
If a loved one passes and is reincarnated years later, how is it that we still feel these energies around us at times?
Well, I personally, if you're still feeling them around you, I think they're still somewhere out there and have not reincarnated yet. That's my own opinion on that. But if we're still connecting with, I mean, I still see my father from time to time. I still talk to him from time to time. He's been gone well over 35 years. So as far as I'm concerned, he hasn't done the reincarnation thing yet. And Gregor is reminding me it's all about choices. We have a choice whether to come back here and do this again, or whether to continue and to explore the universe and the many universes that are out there. So there are more choices than just reincarnation for us. Let's have another question, Carolyn. Oh, Al, you're back.
I am, yes. Yes.
Do you want to ask a question?
Sure. Did we ask Violet's question?
No. Oh, let's go for it then.
All right. Violet has a question.
Morning, Violet.
Morning, Rosemary. Can you give any advice on how I can use my power symbol? It's a scallop shell. There's a romantic situation I'm struggling with, and I need to feel empowered just now.
Well, a power symbol, like our power animals, you can put that down, sorry. A power symbol is something that we all have, that we can all find, and we're going to thank you for reminding me about this, Violet, because I am going to do something on Twitter, and I am going to talk about this on Instagram very soon, within the next few days, I do believe. But we all have our power symbols, and we have our power animals. They don't give us power, and it's interesting, Violet, that you have a shell as your power symbol. So I'm wondering actually if you're actually a water sign, because the two would go together. But anyway, for whatever reason, for whatever power symbol that you have, that each of us has, my power symbol is an eagle feather, for instance. It does not give you power. It reminds you of the power that is within you. So God, I've said this before, God literally puts us on this earth, and he gives us tools. We have a tool bag, and in with those tools, our attitude, we have our power symbols, we have our power animals, we have lots and lots of things in our tool bag that we can use as we go along in life, to that we bring out to help us to learn and to grow. So when you're focusing, Violet, on your power symbol, which is the shell, the clam, when you look at it, when you focus on it, you need to think about what it is that you would like, that you would personally like, whether it's growth, learning more, a better communication with this romantic this individual that you're connected to, and just when you focus on your power symbol, it reminds you that the only person who can do something about this is you, but that you do have the power within you to create an environment, or to create a situation for the positive, for the powerful, and for the good. And this changes your attitude, and it changes the way that you think, and it changes the way, or can change the way that you approach the individual or the circumstance that you are dealing with. For instance, I'll give another example. If you are worrying over the fact that, you say you can't pay the bills, you're struggling with finances, you can't quite get that one job that's giving you that boost or that lift financially, focusing on your power symbol will not bring you the money, but it certainly will remind you of the power that you have, that you can actually do something about this. How do you go about this? That's up to you to choose. But your power symbol is that thing that encourages you and helps you to focus on and to tap into the power that is within you. Each of us has the power within us. Each of us has let's say a tool bag or a toolbox that we keep our tools in, and one of those, bring it out, is your power symbol, which reminds you that you are capable of doing anything you want if you put your mind to it. Hope that helps, Violet. I'd like to hear you, a comment from you about that. Al, do you have another question?
Yeah, I'm reading through this one right here.
Okay.
I'll read it directly. For real says, when can I expect to hear from my person of interest? I've been through so much in life. I understand most have. Took care of my sick husband for almost 4 years, and he finally left me and our little kids. After 7 years, I decided to start dating, but it's been too much back and forth, talking for a short while to no talking for months. It's so frustrating. When do I get a break? Kind of what you just are talking about.
What you need to do, what's the name of this person?
For real. I guess just a nickname.
Okay.
I actually think her name is Rosemary.
Okay, then, all right. If you are Rosemary, whoever you are out there, anyway, good morning. But again, this is why I want to do more about our power symbols and our power animals, because again, God did not just dump us here. And maybe when you're going on dating sites, or maybe when you're thinking about dating, I totally understand, because how people deal with that, I don't know. My daughter encourages me to do it, and I don't, because it's just it's too hard. But obviously, this lovely lady, Rosemary, you're a young woman, and you obviously want a partner in life. You've got to be choosy. Let's put it that way. Don't be afraid to be choosy and say no, 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 no. Don't want that one. No, 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 no. Because if you start to go out with people just because you're lonely, you're going to end up with the wrong kind of people. That's for sure. And if maybe we should have a discussion about this, Al, on everything is attitude. How do people date? What happens if you're lonely, you're on your own, and you want that one person in your life? Gone are the days when people went to join a choir, or when they went to the church, or when they went to a drama group or a theatre group or something. There are so many organizations out there, walking clubs and so on and so forth. Put yourself out there with those people but don't go expecting I'm going to go there to find my one person or somebody. Put yourself out there and say, I'm going to enjoy my life. I'm going to find people around me and do things that I really enjoy to do, because it's when you start to feel good within yourself, and when you start to understand that you do have the power within yourself, as our power symbols and our power animals remind us again and again and again. When you do start to do all of that, then you'll find that you will meet that person when it is ready, when you are right, when the environment is right, when your own energy is right. I think, my darling, you're trying too hard and maybe in the wrong places. To be comfortable in your own skin, and that's when and only then is when you should be looking for that person, not to complete you. All of that, I know there's that great movie, You Complete Me stuff. I know all of that. Well, actually, I'm not looking. I'm that person not looking for anything. But if I were looking, and I have in the past looked, and it would be would be really great to have somebody in my life who, do all of that stuff. But anyway, that's a whole other, gosh, we're getting into dangerous territory here. Carolyn's laughing about that. But when you are looking for someone to be in your life, you need to look for someone who has the same, feelings as you, the same interests as you, and you're not going to find that necessarily online. I know people do find that online, but it's not the only way. So if you're interested in drama, join a drama group. If you're interested in singing, join a choir, and so on and so forth. But put yourself out there and meet people who are like-minded, and then you won't feel so lonely. When you find a partner, you want someone not to complete you, because that makes it sound like you're not whole without another person. Make yourself whole, make yourself complete, and then you'll find someone who can share with you. I think we should have this discussion on Friday. What do you think, Al?
I think it would be a great discussion.
So we're going to discuss, what are we going to discuss? We're going to discuss power symbols and how those power symbols can empower us, and relationships. Join us on Friday night. Everything is Attitude. Al, do you want to tell people where they can find us?
On actually your healing page, it will be live. Yeah.
Friday night, 6 o'clock. Let's go for it. Tell your friends. Tell everybody who wants relationship advice. We're going to be talking also about soul signs, of course, because that is the most relationship-oriented book ever, right?
Yes.
All right, Al, do we have another question? Can we move off the subject now? Because we're going to be talking about it on Friday. Can we? Thank you.
Sure. I phased out? Do we ask from Mary yet, Carolyn?
No.
So Mary says, the day after my son Peter was born, a family member whispered in my ear that he was an old soul. What's your definition of an old soul? Right on cue, right?
Yes, right on cue. An old soul is a water sign. Each one of us is born from and created from a certain pocket of energy, a certain type of energy, whether that energy be fire, water, air, earth, or me, earth, forgot me, fire, water, air, earth, the four elements of this world of ours. There's four elements of energy within the world. There is a fifth, which is sulfur, which everybody seems to forget. But anyway, we ignore that one because we don't necessarily want to talk about that one, because those who join me are certainly not created from that type of energy. But each soul is created from a certain type of energy, which is infused with different character traits. Now, we all have similar character traits to each other, but some of us, for instance, are more assertive. Those are the earth signs. Some are more sort of compromisers, water signs. Some are more sort of, what can we say, flamboyant and excitable and so on. I'm sort of briefly categorizing. They're the fire signs. And some of us are those wonderful souls who they seem to just float along. It's okay, it's fine, it's all right. Every now and again they have this, whirlwind thing going on, and they shout or they get upset, and you're so shocked because they're usually so even keeled, and they're the air signs of our world. But an old soul happens to be within that category, within that group of water signs. And as I've got two water signs sitting here with me, we do seem to be mentioning them quite a lot today. They are the compromisers, and one of those, there are three. There are 5 soul groups. First, learn your group. Then within that group, there are 3 soul signs, and within those soul signs, with our water signs, we have the old soul, we have the peacemaker, and we have the traveler soul. So there's these wonderful 3 different types of energy, very similar character traits, but use those character traits very, very differently. Soul signs is an amazing concept. Grey Eagle taught me all about this. Each soul is created from a certain pocket of energy, which means that certain traits they simply can't help. It helps us all to know what you know, how we communicate with each other, why our mother loves our sister more than she loves us, how we get on much better with one brother than we do another brother, so on and so forth. So it's a really incredible and a beautiful concept. Al, do we have another question?
We do. We have actually a clarification from Patricia, who asked about souls moving on before. She said, just to clarify, I asked a question about souls moving on in response to the woman that asked if her husband's signs might diminish with time. So it's just a clarification.
All right. Just because we move on does not necessarily mean that we need to lose contact with our loved ones here on this earth. For instance, I'm going to take myself. Once I pass into the spirit world, there's no way I'm ever going to lose connection with my daughter or with my grandson. It just won't happen. There's that great song, If You Needed Me. You know that song, if you needed me, I would come to you. I would swim the sea for to ease your pain. I'm going to swim the universe. I'm going to swim through anything and everything. If my daughter and my grandson need me, I'm going to be swimming. I'm going to be moving through the universe. I'm always going to try to have that connection with them whenever I can. I know that this is a thing that people do because I talk to people all the time, and some of them who've been over for more than 50 years, 100 years, whatever. If we need them or if they need us, we can still retain that connection. But that doesn't mean that we're not moving on and exploring other things. I think that moving on is this concept of if we move on, then we're moving away from our loved ones. And that's not true at all. If we're moving on, it means that we're simply exploring other things, but there's no reason why we can't come back and say hello from time to time. Hope that clarifies it, right, Al?
I think it does.
Good. Carolyn, do you have a question, Karen?
No, not right now.
Okay. Well, you know.
I did have one.
Okay, right then.
That's okay.
Can you remember it?
Yeah, I just wondered if souls can be in two places at once.
Oh, you are lovely. We should ignore that question. You know how when you regret, you push someone to ask a question, then you regret that you pushed them to ask the question. Actually, it does seem like souls can be in two places at once. And I know that you're asking that because sometimes, you can say you're on the phone to somebody and they'll say, oh, I saw Dad last night. Oh, I saw Dad last night as well.
Right.
But space, the movement, you can, it's not that they're in two places at once. It's that time as we know it is of a very different concept in the spirit world. So although it might seem like the same time to us, it's not the same time.
Got a happy birthday to Sharon. It's her birthday tomorrow.
Good morning,
Wow, lots of birthdays.
Sharon, and happy birthday to you. Squash tomatoes and stew. You know that one, don't you? I'm not going to go further because it's rude. It's rude. I'm just singing happy birthday. Happy birthday, dear Sharon. Happy birthday, dear Sharon. And happy birthday to Rosemary on Sunday. Happy birthday to us. They were.
And Lori says that saying is as old as my belly button and a little older than my teeth.
I've not heard that one, but thank you.
And Kitty has a question.
Kitty already had a question. This has to be a quick one.
Is it hard for an air sign to rise above circumstances?
No, it's hard for them to get to get up the energy to do it because air signs are very much, they do go along with the flow. But no, it's not hard for them. If they decide that they want to learn and they want to grow, then they can do that. What is hard, I think, for air signs, more than anything else, is to find the discipline that they need. Because without discipline, you have nothing. When we're doing the first lesson in our online courses about meditation, and if you don't have the discipline to meditate, and not in the regular way of meditation, but in my way of meditating, because I teach counter meditation for a reason, because there are lots of a lot of people think that meditating means, sort of relaxing. And yes, it can mean that. But when I teach meditation, it's not about relaxing. It's about raising your level of consciousness. It's about reaching up and reaching out. And if you think that you've done it all, then, well, you don't need to be a student of mine if you think you've done it all, because you haven't. And I can say that about myself as well as the teacher. The teacher always learns from the student, as well as the student hopefully learning from the teacher. Al, do we have a question?
We do. Speaking of the classes, Twiggy says, are we going to find out about our power symbols in the online class?
Yes, of course. Of course, of course, of course. We're going to go on the online class. Twiggy, we're going to go much more in depth about it than we will tomorrow. But not only will you find out how to find your power symbol, how to know what it is, how to discover what your power symbol is. Some people know because they just know, and some people have no clue whatsoever. So there's a method of helping people and teaching people, and the lessons each week and each month are, they gear us up to this. They're all connected. So when you start to learn to listen, Twiggy, when you start to learn to listen beyond your regular hearing, when you start to not just listen to what people are saying, but listen to the sound and the tone and the vibration of a person's voice, and it resonates within you, that's when you can start to discover more and more about yourself. Now, only those people who are on my online class, or those people who have already been my students or still are my students, will know what on earth it is that I'm talking about. But yes, we shall be going into depth with our online learning about power symbols, but also learning about power animals as well. And I think it's a topic that a lot of people will want to know about in the online classes. Of course, not only will you learn what they are, how to find out what they are, you'll learn how to use them too. Shall we have another question, Carolyn?
I've got a follow-up with For Real. She says, yes, my real name is Rosemary. Good morning, Rosemary.
Good morning, darling.
And
what a lovely name you have.
And my person of interest is my friend for almost 7 years.
Oh, well, time you stepped it up then. So if you listen in tomorrow, we'll talk a little bit about power symbols, and you might learn how to move it or to step it up a little bit. But do understand that if that other person is not interested, then it's probably, I'm going to say, it's time for you to move forward or to move on. Anyway, go ahead.
Vivacious asks.
Good morning, Vivacious.
About relationships.
I like that, don't you? Vivacious. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
Energy attracts like energy. Be the energy you want to attract. If you want a king, you need to be a queen, not a jester.
Well, actually, no, that's not always the case. I don't mean to disagree here, but, well, I suppose I do disagree. I do understand where you're coming from, and like energy attracts like energy. However, you might say then, two chiefs would work very well together because they have the same energy, but they do not, because there can only be one chief. And I know this because I'm generally the chief. So I do understand that like energy attracts. However, there's far more to it. There is way more to it than that. And you get two people who are so alike, they can clash dreadfully. So Vivacious, lovely to hear that from you, and thank you for, and I do think to a certain point I agree with you, but overall, if we go more in depth, it can absolutely be, you can get a complete opposite situation than you're hoping for. Al, do you have another question?
Yeah, we're close to time. We have a comment and then one last question from Noreen. Kay says, it's so scary to go out there. I've decided not to go looking, but just live how I want to live, and of course be happy. And Noreen asks, go ahead. I'm sorry. Were you going to say something?
I was going to say, I do agree with what she's saying, and But at the same time, don't be afraid to join groups, to join organizations, to join places where you can meet other people, because otherwise you're cutting yourself off from the possibility of being with a partner, or having a loving partner, or simply just having a relationship with some. I'd love it if, to be honest, if it would be really nice if somebody called me up and said, do you want to go dancing? Because I love dancing. I'm not sure my knees would be any good anymore, but you know what I'm saying. Or someone to go to the movies with, or someone to go to dinner with, those sorts of things. So don't sort of cut yourself off from those sorts of things, darling, and try and join some organizations or things where there are lots of activities going on and you can meet other people. You had a question, Al?
Yeah, and there are a lot of meetups that you can just join groups doing things. Do it safely, obviously. Know what you're getting into, but a lot of things happen.
Yeah.
So Noreen asks, "Hi Rosemary, my mother-in-law has vascular dementia due to a couple of strokes, and some days she is lucid, and other days she is non-responsive. When non-responsive, is she preparing to leave this life?"
Yes, Noreen, you've got it. We don't, it's not that the brain shuts down and we don't function anymore. It's simply that our soul then, it's just the same as when we're sleeping. Our soul is traveling, it's exploring, it's leaving our body. And as hard as it is sometimes for us to see that in our loved ones, yes, I would agree that, I think that there's preparations being made. She's probably exploring and enjoying herself somewhere else, and her soul is, remember, even though our physical body can be trapped, we can be trapped within it, our soul is never trapped and is always learning, growing, and always on the move, and always watching and always listening, which is why, again, it's very important. We're doing this, I do this with all of my students. I try very hard to help them to learn to listen to the heartbeat of their soul, and then to eventually hear the voice of their soul, which is speaking to them, which can guide and steer them in a positive way, whether or not we are trapped physically or whether we're able-bodied. Either way, we should learn, we should strive, if we can, to listen to the heartbeat of our soul. Carolyn, do you have one more question for us?
Yes. Well, it's a comment, really. Valvacia said, personalities can be different, but you must be equally yoked in spiritual values, morals. That is the energy that is alike. Being a chef deals more with personality trait, an alpha personality. I agree. You cannot have two chiefs.
Thank you.
And your friend Kay is saying, so Rosemary, yours is soon. Your birthday. Happy day for Sunday.
Oh, yeah, my birthday's on Sunday. Thanks, Kay, my lovely. And thank you to all of you out there who didn't even know, but are going to wish me happy birthday in your thoughts. I know this. Happy birthday to everybody else that's out there. And all of you, we're going to have a very happy Sunday, because we're probably going to be cooking rack of lamb or something such like that. We're going to have a great Sunday. Karen's got me a birthday present. She won't tell me what it is, but do you want to say anything quickly about that?
No.
Oh, Dash!
I wanted to give it to you earlier, but I know I can't.
Dash!
I gotta wait till Sunday.
I actually thought that I would trick her into telling me what it was, not realizing. All right, so thank you everyone for joining us. If you'd like to join us tomorrow night on Everything is Attitude, Al is my co-host on that show. We have a great time, Al, and we always have good conversation, right? If you want to know any more about my books, I should have them all out here lined up for you. But soul signs is very important. We'll bring soul signs out tomorrow night. We'll talk a little bit about that. And I'm hoping that my cookbook came today, because I gave my cookbook to my friend, and then 3 times I've wanted to show it to other people in the last week and I haven't had it here. It's because I'm such a generous person. So we've got the cookbook out, and we've also got the new book, Walk in the Clouds, or Walk in the Clouds. You can get them on Lulu. If you're not sure how to go to lulu.com, if you email me, Rosemary at rosemaryaLtea.com, and we will let you have a as much information as we have. We'll show you how to get to these things. So thank you.
What time is everything is attitude?
6 o'clock p.m.
Eastern.
Standard Eastern Time. So if it's in New York, 6 o'clock. London, 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock. London, British time is 11. New York time is 6. Colorado time is 4 in the afternoon, right, Al?
Yes.
And that's as much as I can do. Figure it out for yourselves. But if you are Standard Eastern Time is sort of New York time. It's also Florida time. It's on the east coast of America, 6 o'clock Friday, every single Friday night. We're going to talk about relationships. We're going to be talking about power symbols, all sorts of things we're going to be talking about. And do you want to say anything, Karen?
No, it was just great to be here and meet everybody. Join in.
Good. You were very quiet. We were. I think I had. To
I
do
don't
all the
always
talking
get the
today.
opportunity to join in because I'm volunteering at this time.
Yeah, Karen volunteers for sick kids. All right. So if you need to know any more about me, email rosemary@rosemaryalaltea.com. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me all over the place. You can find me on Facebook. Everything is Attitude is on our healing page, Facebook healing page. You can find me there. If you're not sure how, again, email me, rosemary@rosemaryalaltea.com. We'll do our best to answer you. Or you can email Al if you want to know more about Everything is Attitude. It is info@everythingisattitude.com. If you have a question, if you have a subject you'd like to discuss, info@everythingisattitude. And Al checks those emails very frequently, and we'll do our best to answer you. Until I see you all again, I'll be a year older. Not really, I'll just be a few days older, won't I? And all of you have birthdays on the 19th of May. Yippee, yippee, yippee. And all around, and all you Taurians and all the rest of you, of course, have a wonderful, happy day until I see you again next Thursday or maybe tomorrow night. Until I see you again, please, please, please. Thank you to Karen. Thank you to Al. Thank you to Carolyn. Thank you, of course, to my spirit guide, Grey Eagle, who is always here, squished between us. Please, 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 all of you out there listening, would you please all have a very, very, very blessed day. Now, I've got to find that little arrow. Where is it? It's here somewhere. See, oh, there it is. Have a very, very blessed day, everyone.